Well, hey, beautiful humans. I just wanted to jump on here for a minute and just talk a little bit about my religious deconstruction. I keep getting lots and lots of questions, about whether or not I believe the Bible anymore, whether or not I believe there's a God, all the tenets of the Christian faith. And it's because many of you know that, for 30 some years, I practiced evangelical Christianity. I was raised as a Christian. I was raised to go to church, to read the Bible, um, which then eventually transferred over to me doing ministry for over 30 years. And, there was just a lot to that journey. There was a lot of healing in that journey. I learned a lot about the mystical realms. I learned how to tap into my intuition. I saw signs and wonders. I saw things I had never seen before in my life, helping me to realize and understand that there was another realm, there was another dimension. And that led me into doing several years in 40 different nations, different missionary work. I even considered thinking about being a nun for a while. I was very much drawn to that solitude life of just intimate communion with God. And when I was in Africa, I ended up encountering different situations and different things that started to not match up with the way I had been raised, the way my Christian beliefs were. And that took me on a really deep dive. In fact, it really shook me. I saw a lot of things happen on the planet and a lot of different things. I was involved in a lot of social justice work, and that's very intense work. And so I saw trafficking, I saw child soldiers, I saw all these terrible things, and it caused me to really ask a lot of questions about the universe, ask questions about what I was raised to believe, about myself and myself with the world, God and the world, all of that. And when I was in India, I had this very deep encounter when I was at a temple. And I remember feeling this love like I had never felt love before. And it was like my eyes were opened to see love all around me, not just feel love inside of my own self, but to actually see love on the outside of me. Well, this completely and totally like racked my brain, which then took me on a 6 year journey with rabbis diving deep into the Bible. I spoke to a lot of different spiritual teachers throughout Asia. I just spent time studying the Bhagavad Gita. I studied the Vedas, that texts. I studied all sorts of different things around Hinduism, Buddhism, all of it. I went on this really deep dive, and I began to see a common theme that I had actually not seen when I was practicing Christianity. And it was the idea that God and humans were one, that we were one and the same. Well, again, that took me on another deep dive. And it really shook me. And one night I had this like really penetrating dream where I realized that there was no separation between myself and the divine or source or God or universe, however you want to describe this higher energy. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm not separated. And the minute I saw that I was not separated, what did that do? Well, that began to break down that toxic belief that I had been ingrained to believe, that I was separated because I was a sinner, that I was bad, that I was evil. And I began to really feel this like energetic rush from the top of my head all the way down to the soles of my feet. And it was hot, it was cold, it was hot, it was cold, it was hot, it was cold. And it was this love that just was bathing me in something so, gosh, it's hard to even explain, cosmic, mystical, however you want to describe it. It was out of this world. I went from that place into another deep dive again into different texts, and I just came to this conclusion and came to this understanding. I don't quite know how it happened. I don't know, but I came to the understanding that what I had been taught, the way I had been taught about God, was actually wrong, and that I could love myself, and that I wasn't a sinner, and that I wasn't separated. And in fact, that was so burning inside my heart that when I went back out to do the different humanitarian work I was doing in villages, I began to see God in all things. I began to see God in nature, in the trees, in the animals, in people, in food. I began to really sense this cosmic divine intelligence, this presence in every single thing, things created, things that were in my own imagination, all sorts of different things. I mean, I just began to see it so clearly. And from there, I began to tear apart and really go through another stage of my deconstruction. But that's the first thing that actually happened to me. So, back to the original question that people have asked me, do I believe in a God? I believe in God, yes. I believe in creation, yes. I believe that there is a greater intelligence, a more divine, encompassing presence that is holding us and loving us and wooing us and drawing us into itself. I don't believe it is like the God of the Bible I was taught. I also don't believe that everything I saw in the religious texts I was reading or different spiritualities encompasses God either. I believe each thing has a part of God. So I learned a part of God in Christianity. I learned a part of God in Buddhism, a part of God in Jainism. All these different religions and all these different experiences I encountered, from temples to churches to mosques to all of it. I just really began to see that each of these have an aspect of God, but they aren't all of God. And that God is so big, the universe is so big, source is so big, that creation is so big, ever evolving, always dynamically moving, that we can't even put it into words. So I've tried with just that little bit there to give a little explanation. Of what happened to me, but it was just so supernatural. It's kind of hard to describe an awakening. It's kind of hard to dial it down in a way that you can understand. But I hope that that helps. I hope that sheds a little light. And I assume that this is probably going to be part one of numerous videos from me. So thanks for listening, everyone.